Could your Social Security benefits be about to get a massive boost that could change your retirement forever? What if I told you that there's legislation on the table right now that could put thousands more dollars in your pocket every single year, potentially transforming how millions of Americans experience their golden years? The numbers might shock you, and the political battle brewing around this proposal could determine whether you retire comfortably or struggle to make ends meet. If you want to stay ahead of the game on Social Security changes that could directly impact your financial future, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell because we're diving deep into the most significant Social Security expansion proposal in decades, and you don't want to miss what this could mean for your retirement planning. Bernie Sanders has been fighting for Social Security expansion for years, but his latest legislative push represents the most comprehensive attempt to not only save Social Security from its looming funding crisis but actually expand benefits in ways that could be life-changing for current and future retirees. The Social Security Expansion Act, which Sanders has championed alongside progressive colleagues like Elizabeth Warren, isn't just another political talking point. It's a detailed blueprint for fundamentally reshaping America's most important safety net program. But what exactly does this proposal contain? And more importantly, what are the realistic chances it could actually become law? The centerpiece of Sanders' proposal involves expanding Social Security benefits by $2,400 per year for recipients, which translates to an additional $200 every single month. Think about what that extra money could mean for your monthly budget. That's enough to cover a significant portion of your grocery bills, help with medical expenses, or simply provide the breathing room that so many seniors desperately need in today's economy. But here's where things get really interesting. This isn't just about throwing money at the problem. Sanders' plan addresses the fundamental challenge facing Social Security, the program's long-term solvency, by proposing to fully fund Social Security for the next 75 years. How would this massive expansion be paid for? You might be wondering? The answer lies in what Sanders calls making wealthy Americans pay their fair share. Currently, Social Security payroll taxes only apply to income up to a certain cap, which means that once someone earns above the threshold, they stop paying Social Security taxes on their additional income. Sanders' proposal would eliminate this cap for individuals earning more than $250,000 annually, including capital gains and other forms of investment income. This means that millionaires and billionaires would finally start paying Social Security taxes on their full income, just like working and middle-class Americans do. The political implications of this proposal are enormous, especially considering the current makeup of Congress and the ongoing debates about government spending. Republicans have traditionally opposed expanding Social Security, often arguing for cuts to ensure the program's solvency, while Democrats have increasingly embraced expansion as both good policy and good politics. With an aging population and growing concerns about retirement security, Social Security has become a defining issue that could shape electoral outcomes for years to come. But what does this mean for the average American trying to plan for retirement? Current Social Security benefits average around $1,800 per month for retirees, which many financial experts agree is nowhere near enough to maintain a comfortable standard of living in retirement. Sanders' proposal would represent a more than 10% increase in monthly benefits, which could make the difference between struggling to pay bills and having enough money to enjoy retirement. For someone receiving Social Security disability benefits, which are often even lower than retirement benefits, this increase could be transformative. But there's another crucial aspect of this proposal that deserves attention: the special minimum benefit provision. Sanders' legislation includes provisions to ensure that workers who have contributed to Social Security for decades receive a meaningful minimum benefit, regardless of their earnings history. This is particularly important for workers who spend years in low-wage jobs, women who took time out of the workforce to care for children or elderly parents, and others whose traditional Social Security benefits might be inadequate despite a lifetime of work. The proposal recognizes that Social Security should provide dignity and security for all workers, not just those who had high-paying careers. The timing of this proposal is also significant, coming at a moment when Social Security faces its most serious funding challenge in decades. According to the Social Security trustees, the program's trust fund could be depleted by the late 2030s if no action is taken, which would result in automatic benefit cuts of about 20% for all recipients. Sanders argues that his approach, expanding benefits while ensuring long-term solvency, is far preferable to the alternative of cutting benefits or gradually raising the retirement age, proposals that have been floated by some policymakers. Critics of Sanders' plan argue that raising taxes on high earners could have negative economic consequences, potentially discouraging investment and entrepreneurship. They also question whether such a massive expansion of government benefits is fiscally responsible, even if it's technically paid for through increased taxes. Supporters counter that the wealthy have benefited disproportionately from economic growth over the past several decades while wages for ordinary workers have stagnated, making it both fair and necessary to ask the richest Americans to contribute more to Social Security. The political path forward for this legislation remains uncertain, particularly given the current composition of Congress and the traditional resistance to major expansions of government programs. However, polling consistently shows that Social Security expansion is popular with voters across party lines, including many Republicans who might otherwise oppose Democratic initiatives. This suggests that there could be political pressure on lawmakers to support some version of Social Security enhancement, even if not exactly as Sanders has proposed. What makes this proposal particularly noteworthy is its comprehensiveness. Rather than tinkering around the edges of Social Security or proposing modest adjustments, Sanders is calling for a fundamental expansion that would touch the lives of virtually every American worker and retiree. The $2,400 annual increase would be in addition to regular cost of living adjustments, meaning that benefits would continue to grow with inflation while also receiving this substantial base increase. For younger workers who are decades away from retirement, this proposal could dramatically change their retirement planning calculations. Instead of assuming that Social Security will provide only a modest foundation for retirement income, they could potentially count on significantly higher benefits, which might allow for different savings and investment strategies. However, the uncertainty about whether such legislation could actually pass means that prudent financial planning still requires assuming more conservative benefit levels. The broader economic implications of Sanders' proposal extend beyond just Social Security recipients. Putting an additional $200 per month into the pockets of millions of Americans would represent a significant injection of consumer spending into the economy. Seniors spend most of their income on necessities like housing, healthcare, and food, so this money would likely circulate quickly through local economies, potentially creating jobs and boosting economic growth in communities across the country. As we look toward the future, the question isn't just whether Sanders' specific proposal will become law, but whether it represents the beginning of a broader shift in how America thinks about retirement security and the role of Social Security. With traditional pensions disappearing and many Americans struggling to save enough for retirement through 401k plans, Social Security has become more important than ever as a source of guaranteed retirement income. Sanders' proposal acknowledges this reality and suggests that expanding Social Security might be the most effective way to address America's retirement crisis. The stakes couldn't be higher for current and future retirees, and the decisions made by lawmakers in the coming years will have consequences that last for generations. Whether you're already receiving Social Security benefits, approaching retirement age, or just starting your career, these proposals could fundamentally change your financial future. The question now is whether the political will exists to turn these ambitious ideas into reality, and what compromises might be necessary to build the broad coalition needed to pass such significant legislation.